Right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Crossing Swords. And as always, I think I might be Andrew.
And I'm a little bit tired, but I'm going to press on regardless and deliver you the high quality content that you've come to know and love over the years.
Well, as high a standard and quality of content as we're capable and qualified to deliver, I don't want to oversell it.
I do.
Fair enough. That's quite, if you go back to the first episode, I think.
It's consistent.
It's consistent. I try to underplay it. You're like, no, we're smashing the back doors out of it.
You know my motto.
Yeah.
You know what I do.
To be fair, that is on your family crest. Smash the back doors in.
Smash the back doors in. Go get them.
Yeah. That's the Tory motto, I think, really.
Careful now. You can make a lot of jokes about me, but I've got to draw the line somewhere. I've got to draw the line somewhere.
It's funny, I was listening to another podcast and one of the hosts is Northern and they're winding him up and calling him a Tory and he was like, I will joke about anything on the planet, but don't call me a fucking Tory.
Listen, I'm in the same boat. There's many jokes. I will take any, and you've, on this pod, I like to think I've taken a fair few over the years.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But I would say that's line drawn. Let's not get crazy.
No, and do you know what? I feel exactly the same.
Yeah.
But speaking of Tories, Jake.
Sure.
It's quite difficult.
Love a good segue.
We haven't done this for a little while. We've both been away.
I'm busy.
Should we start with that first? What we've been up to? So, how you doing, bro? How you been?
What is this, like the first day of primary school after the fucking holidays?
Yeah.
My name's Jake. I'm 30 years old, and I went away in the summer.
Well, it wasn't the summer. You went away.
I saw a big plane and a lizard. Actually, I did see a cool lizard.
Yeah.
That's no lie. It's fucking dope.
Yeah.
Love a good lizard. I went Rhodes.
Nice.
I went Rhodes.
Rodos.
We went into Rhodos. We went into Rhodos town in the fortified bit.
Town. Yeah,
and that's where we saw this lizard. It's fucking badass, man. I love a good lizard.
Nice. What sort of lizard was it?
Like, wall crawling one.
Bro, we're trying to get content here, bro. And you're just like, I just saw a lizard. And I'm like, what sort of lizard?
No, I'm not David Attenborough, okay? I don't know this shit.
I thought you knew everything.
Yeah, I know a lot.
But not lizard.
I haven't got to lizard yet.
Right.
I'm on M in like the encyclopedia. And I just haven't quite. Yeah, no, I fucked that up.
I was going to say, I know my alphabet's bad.
I started at Z.
I was thinking, just say K.
I started at Z. I'm working backwards.
Yeah.
So you see, as you can see, I haven't even got the alphabet. I haven't even done the alphabet yet, so I don't know the alphabet.
But
that's at the other end of where I'm coming to. I'm working towards it.
But
yeah. Where did you go?
I went to a place called Watton.
What?
Watton is called.
What?
Watton.
What?
Watton.
I'm going to drag this out.
I went to Suffolk, Jake, / Norfolk.
Sure.
Sort of Norwich way. Beautiful part of the country.
What?
I went to Watton, Jake. But yeah, I went to Watton. One of our long-time listeners and a long-time mutual friend of both of ours, Miss Lindsay. Shout out Lindsay. And her partner, who's also a listener, Mr.
Shout
Kevin.
out Kev.
Yeah. So me and our football correspondent, Ash, went to stay with them for a week.
And you had fun?
Yeah. I shared a bed with Ash, so you can imagine what we got up to.
Jesus, you're tired. You're probably more tired than I am.
Always.
Yeah.
I'm going to be affected by it for a long time.
He's a ferocious man. He's a big appetite.
It's why we only go once a year now, because I just
don't have that stamina.
No.
Do you know what? You hit a certain age. No, it's a young man's game. It is a young man's game.
I'm getting grey, my back's going, my knees are hurting. Do you know what I mean?
I think I've said this to you before, but like, sometimes I don't, and this is going to sound like I'm like so liberal and cool, guys, but I don't watch like a lot of porn.
Okay.
On the occasion where I do, there are some positions and I think I'm not thinking, oh wow, that's hot. I'm thinking, Jesus, my back would just cave, like my leg, some of them like squatting ones, I'm like, mate, my legs would give in after about a minute tops.
I think I've got other issues as to why I couldn't be in porn.
No, I'm not saying that's why I can't be in porn. I'm just saying that my first thought is no longer of the sexy nature of the content.
Whereas when you were younger, you were like,
when I was younger, it's just, I didn't even think I could do that. I'm just concentrating on the porn and nothing else is happening. Now I'm just seeing it and I'm just thinking, how much stuff, like mentally, physically?
In real life.
I'll tell you this.
Not in your imagination.
The solo category, whiz through it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You can pretty much tick off everything that's in that group. The others,
I can believe that.
It was a bit hit and miss,
That's fair. Any reason why you don't watch a lot of porn now?
I don't know.
Just not as into it?
No, I don't. There is no real reason. I think I don't need it. I just sort of like, I have.
So when you have alone time, are we just
I do it on the fly. I just kind of like.
Are you going back into the history books?
It'll strike me and I'll be like, oh, you know what, I'm in the mood. And I'll just think, well, if I'm already in the mood, something's got me there. And I'll just like, cool, that'll do.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need much more than that. I'm a very easy man. I don't need much stimulation.
So what, like just you go outside, strong breeze, oh fuck, I've got to go back indoors again.
Oh, mate, I love being blown.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Right.
I got sidetracked. How did we talk about my masturbatory habits?
I don't know. You decided to bring up porn. And
it was Ash.
I went with
it was Ash. It was you and Ash as lovers.
I mean, yeah. We've known each other a long time. We're comfortable.
Which is why you've got to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
You don't want staleness to creep in.
No, which is why we get other people involved, which is why you
go force them, yeah.
Yeah.
Chemo.
You know, it's just a massive week-long swapping of keys. Do you know what I mean?
It's huge. I mean, it's pretty much done after day 2. There's only 4 of you. And then, you know, the maths works out in the way that it works out, but...
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, it's just intense. Do you know what I mean?
I imagine it is.
Yeah. It's balls to the walls, actually.
I used to subscribe to the OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't watch much anymore, but it's so ridiculous.
I understand, bro.
Do you know what? Who can afford porn? Like, the premium content porn?
Honestly, I don't get why anyone pays for porn. There's no need.
It's free and like in a copious amounts.
Yeah.
If you want anything, you can find it for free.
Yeah.
And if you can't, hit me up, bro. I'm here at the pod. I will direct you in the right... I'll point you in the right direction.
Anything?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm making the claim.
Wow.
I said, we said at the big, I'm confident. I'm go big or go home.
I have a feeling there might be a certain member of the royal family who gets in touch.
No, what? I can find those videos. I can find those. That's not a problem.
I don't think you're supposed to, though.
That's not a problem.
Allegedly, by the way. I'm just saying, allegedly, you might get a call from a certain member of the royal family.
All I'm saying is, my PC is not under watch from the police anymore.
Especially, I mean, you have researched bomb making in the past.
Yeah, I did research bomb making. Like... God, yeah, what was it? Yeah, no, I did. I
think
research.
you've talked about it on the pod before, to be fair.
Yeah, I have. It was like a day. It was like how to make a homemade bomb about a day after looking up how, like, the inner workings of a nuclear bomb.
Yeah. You're definitely on a watch list.
I probably am on a watch list.
Yeah. I don't think you want to be starting this new business venture.
It's good, though, because I'm on a watch list here for, like, bomb making, but then I'm probably on a watch list in, like, you know, Qatar and Saudi Arabia and Russia for being really critical. Yeah. On the podcast, you know, we're part of the anti-growth coalition. Remember,
we're tofu eating wokarati.
Yeah, like, you know, do you eat tofu?
No, can't stand the stuff.
No,
I've never tried it. I know I'm just not going to like it.
I'm not a fan. I'll tell you what's a good replacement.
What?
Because it always smells great whenever you walk past. I've never actually had it, but apparently it got a very meat-like texture. Is jackfruit.
Yeah,
like, have you ever smelt it when you walk past the markets? Oh, it smells so good. I don't
really shop in the places where jackfruit are being made on so much that you can smell it.
Corner shop. That's on my walk to work. Well, I don't walk to work anymore.
What corner shops are you going in?
I'll show you it. Okay. It's literally just, one of them corner shops where they've got all the fruit and stuff outside, stacked up in crates.
Yeah.
And it's in one of them. It's not always.
Is that a corner shop though?
Well, it's not on a corner, but it's a shop. It's near a corner.
Like all shops are, I feel.
Well, I don't know. Some pretty long roads.
Yeah, but eventually you find a corner.
Yeah, but then you're into the semantics of near.
Yeah, I know, but I asked you, was it? But what I'm saying is you
near
can always find a corner.
No, but my point is they don't always have jackfruit, but when they do, it smells really good.
Fair enough. I know I've never been close enough to Jackie fruit to smell it.
Jackie fruit would be a great drag queen name, I feel.
Or fruit of the
But you'd have to be it gives me very 70s camp vibes rather than the new modern,
I feel like
sleek,
you've got to
shiny.
it though, like fruit of the jack rather than jackfruit.
Fruit of the jack sounds like a sex term.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, you do the fruit of the jack. I'll meet Jackie Fruits.
Jackie Fruits, fair enough.
And
would that be yours?
No, mine would be way more hypersexual than that.
Really?
Way more. Oh, please.
Well, like on my knees or something.
My drag name would be the kind of shit that you couldn't say before the watershed. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't go on the one show because they couldn't announce me.
No, they can't say bucket of cum online or on television.
I mean, I'm not aware of it. I've never seen it on the one show. No. I've never seen them say bucket of cum.
No.
On the one show.
Speaking of buckets of cum.
Excellent segue, my man.
We've got another new Prime Minister.
Yeah.
So since we
probably another one by the end of this.
I mean, to be honest,
we keep checking.
Something I want to talk about because, I was a bit concerned. I mean, we might as well just brush past Liz Truss because I think we covered what she's done wrong at the time. And she was in for it must be so odd. She'll be a great pub quiz question in the future, won't she?
Who was Prime Minister when the Queen died?
Yeah. And like people will be like, oh fuck. If it's long enough in the future, they'll be like, oh fuck, who was it? Because we've had so many.
We've had a lot.
And finally, the Conservatives were driven so far they had to elect a man that wasn't or elect a person that wasn't white.
Yeah, it was.
That tells you how far they got pushed.
We've spoken about this.
That's why we had Liz Truss.
Well, we've spoken about this before, and I've said obviously not being from an elected position, but rather from I know all MPs are elected, but the cabinet is appointed by the Prime Minister. But we've spoken about this before, and I've mentioned how I think how the right are using people of colour, and I use that term quite specifically as a broad thing to cover non-white people,
to sort of cover up the disgustingness,
to say some really far right racist policies and shit, like the whole shit with Suella Braverman
and Priti Patel
this last week or so, calling it an invasion. And I might be being hyperbolous, and I might be being like, a bit conspiratorial, but if I would think if a like middle-aged or old white man had said that,
he'd be asked to resign.
It'd have been it'd have been rightfully condemned, and it would have crossed. He would have crossed the line, and he would be a racist.
Yeah.
But Suella Braverman says it, and she's
the thing is,
she's brown, and suddenly it's.
I can't remember who it might have been. James O'Brien. I know we shout him out a lot on this show, but I think it was who was the lead. I can't remember what party he was the leader of. Was it the BNP? Nick Griffith. What was his name?
Oh God, yeah, no, that prick.
And apparently, nearly word for word, what she said in the last week
he said
was what they were saying in their manifesto, in the BNP manifesto.
Well,
so that's what we've gone to now.
Like, you saw my tweet the other day that I said, like, this stuff that was on the far right fringes
is now
3 or 4 years ago,
yeah.
and I mean as recent as even after Brexit, 3 or 4 years ago, was on the far right fringes, is now the government. It's not even like it's as mainstream as you can get.
What worries me even more is that Sunak has just said he supports everything she said, basically.
Yeah, and this is a woman, by the way, who was fired from that position
a couple of weeks before
for a security breach, and if reports to be believed, a very serious security breach, not just a minor one, like a proper.
Yeah.
And yet she was reappointed, and I would love to. That would have been the perfect segue to jump off into something, but it's cool. We'll carry on the Tory band, on the Tory train.
But yeah, with the Braverman thing, there was like an ex-MI6 guy that was interviewed recently, and he said he's been told what she leaked. And he said, if you were in the intelligence community in any capacity and you made that big a fuck up,
you'd be out.
You would never work in security again. All your credibility is gone. He said, to the fact that not only did she do it, which is bad enough, but
she
for them
got
to
reappointed
into the same position, let alone in any other position, but into the same position.
And also, while we're on the Suella Braverman thing, and obviously the attack of the immigration centre.
Yeah.
And let's talk. Let's call that, by the way, when we see these generally sort of like Muslim radicalists, extremists performing these attacks in home soil or on Western soil. Well, what we do is,
go to war.
I thought I was having a conversation with someone about it the other day, and they said they always ask the question, how did they get radicalised? Let's look at the websites that they were shown. Let's look at the people they were interacting. We don't do that with this bloke.
No.
Because he was radicalised by the people that are currently in power and the newspapers that are currently predominant media moguls, and you can't implicate them in the same way. And it's but anyway,
because those are the systems we're currently governed by. I mean, even now, it's one of the things that gives me a slight bit of hope, because despite the fact that end of the media is still massively backing the Conservatives, they're not changing position at all. They're just doubling down on it, and so are the Conservatives, to be honest, by backing Sunak, by being fine with Braverman being in and saying these things, and Sunak not having an issue with any of it. And I think it really makes me question them as human beings, because no matter how high they've risen, it's what they come from, not necessarily migrants, but immigrants. Their families would have come here at some stage looking for a better life, worked their way up to the fact that Sunak was born into borderline the aristocracy, and
I said to you,
these are wealthy people, but they come from the same places these people are coming from, and they have no empathy whatsoever.
There's a real sense of there's partly a generational thing of not being grateful for it. But I don't think it's that. I think, a sort of, as I've said to you before, I think it's a case of there's always people who feel like if they side with, if you're the mainstream, for example, and you're picking on me and people who look like me, like for whatever, and you
short
pick any short people, right? Yeah. And then I side with you, and I go, short people shouldn't be afforded all these things. No. Short people are not the same as normal people. They're not as physically strong as normal people, and they shouldn't be given the same rights. I think because I'm siding with you, that you'll accept me, and it's like, no, I'm just on the same side as you. I'll never be one of you.
Definitely agree with
you
that.
Will never accept me as one of them. And I think there's a lot of that going on.
I definitely think that's a part of it. I think another part is overcompensation. I think another part is it's simply seeing an opportunity like Boris Johnson did when Brexit first came along.
Radical opportunist.
Yeah, just an opportunity to go, oh, this is a big part of our party. And I don't necessarily think they agree with it. I'd like to believe anyway.
A lot of them didn't.
That people like Braverman don't. I'd like to think underneath it all,
there's enough intelligence there to know
that what she's saying is wrong, and she doesn't actually believe it. I'd far rather it, like, on a human level, that it was just political disgustingness than actual held beliefs.
But even the fact she said it is just ridiculous.
Oh, absolutely.
But the Braverman thing, like, so that centre that got attacked was, I mean, there's like, it's like 4 times over the limit of capacity, and under Priti Patel. Like even Priti Patel, and Priti Patel was a despicable,
rooms, didn't she?
Was renting hotel rooms because they have to. That's currently in
our sort of laws. The law
is like this. The immigration law is like they have to be provided for in some regards. And I mean, I know we've spoken about immigration before, and we said the only way to stop illegal immigration is to provide legal routes. At the moment, there are so few legal routes for migrants to come in, and also the thing that makes me laugh so much is that when we were part of the, that whole thing of like taking back control of our border, when we were in the EU, there was that law that a migrant can be sent back to the first safe country they crossed in.
Yeah.
So all the migrants coming from France, we can send them back to France.
Yeah.
But we no longer have that right. We gave that up. So now they're coming through France, coming to us, and we have no way to get rid of them again, kind of thing. It's like, it's so funny that all these things...
we have no system to integrate them. We have nothing in place whatsoever.
It's the irony, the stupid irony, that all these things that people thought they wanted to get rid of, they actually just voted to double down on and make worse.
Well, I think what this boils down to is what we've had for the last, I would say, particularly since Boris came in, is a style of governing which is we're not actually governing anything. We're just putting out fires when they arise and just turn up bites every week and, sound bites. During COVID, it was hands, face, space and all that other bollocks. Before that, it was Brexit bollocks. Now
we're building 40 new hospitals. We're building 40 new hospitals. We're hiring 30,000 new nurses.
And then we have the reality of when Liz Truss was sworn in as Prime Minister or whatever they do. I don't know if they do a swearing process, actually. I imagine they have to do something like sign a document or whatever. As she was doing that, her own constituency, her hospital was falling apart.
Yeah.
And there is an irony to that as she's rising to her highest level, the areas she's supposed to be looking after is falling apart.
And in terms of, if I may, in terms of the opposition, what do you make of Keir Starmer and things he's been saying recently? So I just want to run a few things past you. I don't know if you've seen him or not. So he said that, in an interview, he said that he thinks that we shouldn't be relying on, and I don't necessarily agree with the sentiment, but the way he said it and the fact he said it kind of screams to me that he's clawing at the right, that he's trying to gain votes. Like he said, we shouldn't be, the NHS shouldn't be too reliant on overseas workers. We should be focusing on
talent indoors, sort of thing.
And while I agree with it in principle, I feel like it's being said to claw at the right. And also, he's also said, what did he say? He also said, that the freedom of movement is over. That's gone.
Yeah.
And I don't like the idea of that door being closed. I knew that Labour weren't going to come in and immediately undo Brexit. No. I kind of wanted that door open to start the process.
I think what the reality is with Labour on this in particular is if he came out and said, look, let's be honest, a lot of the things that are going wrong with the country have been exacerbated and made worse by Brexit. So the likelihood is at some point, unless we want to be fucked, we're going to have to reverse some of it. Probably either go back into the single market and I don't think in the near future we'd end up fully back in the EU, but I think you could see but you couldn't do it until Labour are in power, and they can't even talk about it until they're in power.
No, I get that, but he could have said nothing on those issues. Like, with the greatest respect,
Could he
spent the last 3 years not landing on one side or the other on most policies.
No, I think what he's done, because for the first time in the last PMQs, it's the first time I've seen him actually properly go after a prime minister. He chose something, and it was immigration, and just was like, I'm not letting you.
Yeah, I mean,
get
I
away
didn't see him PMQs.
It's the first, and I genuinely watched it and was like, oh, I was taken back straight away because I expected him to sort of allude around, and like straight away he was like, the Home Secretary says our immigration system's broken. Who broke it? And then just sat back down and then just went after him over. And Rishi Sunak, and at first I thought he was doing, I think I expected Rishi Sunak to be really shit at it. So when I saw that he was actually okay under pressure, I was like, oh, okay.
It tricked you into thinking he's good. He's not necessarily good, he's just better than you thought.
Having listened to loads of stuff afterwards, the general consensus is that he handled it very badly, and Keir Starmer came out looking better.
Did you?
I think the problem, what we've had, like, we're now in a position where if he doesn't start going after them, he's really fucked up. I think what he's done before, I think he's just waited and waited and waited for that moment where he's like, no, I know if I put my foot on their neck now, I'm Prime Minister. And I think that's what he's doing now.
Mate, yeah, probably.
And I think the problem is now, if he starts talking about some stuff and he's like, no, I don't want to talk about this, it probably comes across as, I don't know, not hypocritical quite, but just dodging issues. And I think, yeah, he's got to keep some of the right on side, sadly. I think it's just part of the political process, isn't it? He's got to dance on some things, be honest about others. Because like I said, I was even confused about his stance on transgender rights, because I didn't understand that phrase he keeps using, that for 98 or 99.9% of women, it's a matter of biology or something like that, wasn't it? And I didn't quite understand what he was saying.
Yeah, we discussed that on the last episode, didn't we?
No, I think we did it by text, to be fair.
Did we?
Because I think
I can't remember what I said on it.
I saw another interview.
I can't remember what I said.
No, and I don't know how far back it is in the message, but you explained it to me, and I was like, okay, I see what you meant. Because he followed it up with something else, which made it come across very vague, and it was just a bit confusing. It came across to me like he was saying he was anti-trans, whereas I think you were like, no, he's not anti-trans. He's just saying we need to talk. I think what you said was he needs to talk to, a bit like Graham Norton, the people involved, rather than.
I mean, that's my view on it anyway. I think.
Yeah.
We're giving the voices, and not just on. Obviously, we're talking about the issue of trans people, but not just trans people, or like on just about anything that's up for. It shouldn't even be up for debate. The trans thing, like, it's a human rights thing, but anything that's kind of a discussion that's happening right now is we shouldn't be talking to all these think tanks and all these. Talk to the people that are actually involved, that are actually either making the decisions or being affected by the decisions. Yeah. Let's talk to them. And in fact, let's talk to both of them. Let's talk to the people who are making decisions and talk to the people who the decisions are affecting. Otherwise, there's no point getting a true perspective on it. The movement forward has
to come from, obviously, the people it's affected by. It has to be rooted in their needs, their wants.
Yeah, so we have to talk to them to get that. So it's absolutely. Like, absolutely. I do think we have a huge problem in the West in general in giving the microphones to the wrong people.
I was thinking about it the other day, and I think what may be part of the problem is I don't think people know how to rationalise it in their head sometimes. I don't think people know, and I think it not just trans, but I think with homosexuality or whatever it is, people are like, I don't know if this is a mental phenomenon. I don't know. Like, I don't think they know how to classify it in their head so that they can understand it.
You don't need to classify. You just need to
I don't
accept
think you do. No, I don't.
I
still think that is a process people do go through.
But either way, you're not going to get that by me and you, for example, as two straight men,
talking about.
Are not going to understand. Are not going to get a better understanding of homosexuality without talking to someone who is gay.
Yeah.
So you need to involve those people in the conversations. I know. I'm not taking that out of you, by the way. I'm not aiming that at you.
Because I think, again, for me, I like to think people aren't inherently bad. And I don't think most people are necessarily anti-trans. I just think they get caught up in not understanding.
I think I said to you as well, I think the problem is, thanks to the likes of social media and stuff, that actually there's these the angriest voices are the loudest voices. Yeah. So people that are anti things get and it seems like they've got this big presence, and so it spills over,
isn't it? Like there was the other day, I think we both follow, there's a Palace fan page called Hopkins Looking to Curl One. Shout out to him.
Dan's great.
I really
great.
him.
I like Dan.
I've listened to a couple of his free ones. I haven't signed up to his Patreon.
Do you know what? I've signed up to it, and I say now, I don't listen to them.
But you do it to support him.
But I do support him. He's living the
his dream, yeah.
And if I can support that in some small way, as long as I can afford to, I will.
And there was
I love his content.
Yeah, I think he's brilliant. I always read
speaks eloquently on it, and I think his thing about the value of footballers, he explains that, I think, eloquently and articulately.
Yeah, because his biggest bugbear online is when people get annoyed at the value clubs.
Yeah, they're like, he's not worth that, and it's like, no one's saying he's worth that. That's the price that would prize him away from the club. That's the price that would convince the club to sell. Yeah,
but he was getting. And I'm not surprised because he does get quite a bit of engagement with his posts, and not quite always. A bit is quite negative. And what annoys me, and I think it's why I personally wouldn't let it get to me, but I can understand why, if it's consistent and constant, why it would, is these people are hiding behind a fake name and a fake photo. They're not brave, and this is what I said to him, like, this guy's hiding behind a mask. He's not brave enough to, like you, put yourself out there, live your dream, and then to have the balls to keep saying to people, like, look, I need your support.
And also, I said, like, as I was kind of saying, is like, the ones who like it, don't stop and say anything. They generally don't stop to go, I really like stuff. But the ones that don't, do. They feel like they need to tell them I don't like them. And it's a kind of, by the way, just I don't know if you've got it to talk about. I don't have it to talk about. But did you see the whole thing of James Corden getting set up by his writers after stealing a Ricky Gervais joke?
No, is this the Noel Fielding one? Because he's been accused of stealing one of his
jokes.
No,
he's been accused of stealing. Although I saw some great jokes on that, by the way.
What do you mean they set him up? Was it to screw him over, or is it a joke?
Well, no, I don't know the ins and outs of it, and I don't even know that they've set him up. But it feels to me like they set up because the bit they wrote for him is a word for word taking of a Ricky Gervais joke. The Ricky Gervais joke is this: he's talking about Twitter and online and social media, and he says, and people come to you to tell you that they don't like you and you shit. And he says, it'd be like if you were walking through the town centre and there was a notice board and on it said guitar lessons. And you went, but I don't fucking want guitar lessons.
Yes, I've seen this.
And then you take the thing off and you call them and you go, I don't want guitar lessons. You go, okay, thanks. Why did you didn't need to call me. You just move on.
Yeah.
And James Corden literally did it like word for word on his show in the monologue.
Yeah, I've heard that in Ricky's stand-up, to be fair.
And it was like, bro, and it felt to me, it was like, bro, your writers have set you up there. Like, they want you to get a negative opinion. I don't know what it is, but there's no way they didn't know that they were taking that word for word.
I suppose I didn't think. I heard
there's
he
no
got
way
called out for it.
There's no way that they didn't know that he'd get all the flack.
Yeah.
There's no way they didn't know that or think of it.
Well, I think also he's already said this is his last, like,
he's quitting it and he's coming,
And to be honest, from what I've heard, there's a football panel show I watch, and there's a YouTuber on it called Rory Jennings, and he's a Chelsea fan. But before going into football YouTube, he worked in EastEnders for a bit as an actor.
Sure.
He played one character, limited run, but he said it earned him enough money that he could pursue what he wanted to, and he ended up going into production.
Do I need to get into EastEnders?
He played like a bad boy or something, but he went into...
Bro, please.
I reckon you could
please,
play
I couldn't play a bad boy.
I wouldn't be able, I'd watch it, but I'd be laughing the entire time.
What, you slag?
Yeah, please talk like that forever.
I'll do it for the rest of the fucking pod, mate. No problem.
Fucking Danny Dyer's mate.
You don't fucking interrupt me. Alright, don't interrupt me. I'm speaking now. I'm just saying, if anyone's listening who happens to be a casting director in EastEnders, I am available.
Yeah.
Or Corrie. I could play a Cockney Corrie.
Why not?
Hey up, you fucking slag. See, I could do Corrie.
Yeah.
I could do Northern.
What was that Brummie? Were you trying to do a bit of Brummie or
just sort of vague generic Northern?
Okay.
You'd have to go Manc, really.
Yeah.
Hey up, you slag. No, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm too Cockney. And in my head,
you're far too.
I'm just in my head. I'm just like, oi,
oi, oi.
Oi.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They didn't even have to write me lines. I could just stand up and make noises. Go, oi, oi, oi. Oh.
Well, have you seen that advert while it's in my head? They're asking the BBC, aren't they, for people to apply to be extras?
Yeah.
I'm really tempted, I've got to be honest.
Yeah,
I'd love to be in the background.
I did it.
Did you?
Yeah.
What were you in?
No, I haven't done it.
Oh, you've applied for it?
I've applied.
Oh, nice. I might have to. Could you imagine if we both somehow ended up behind the scenes?
I imagine we'd be like Do you know when Phoebe
Could
gets
you
a job
imagine-
as an extra on
Yeah.
Days of Our Lives? I imagine we'd be like that,
Yeah.
causing all trouble in the
And
background.
the guy was like, "Can you pretend to eat food with never eating it?" And I was like, "I don't know
like,
if I actually can.
no,
I don't think I've
you're
ever
just
sat
going to
down
have to give
do
me an
that.
endless supply of food. You're just going to have to keep bringing me
Keep
plates.
refilling my fry up. Do you
Yeah,
know what I
you're
mean?
just going to have to keep bringing me fresh food.
But yeah, what I was saying before, Rory Jennings, he ended up going into the production side of things and worked on Britain's Got Talent, and he ended up working with some of the people from League of Their Own at one point. And he said he found out the happiest day of all the people who worked on League
Was
of
when
Their Own's
James
lives
Corden
was
left.
when they found out he was leaving,
Really?
because he's just an absolute nightmare to work with. Apparently he's a complete prima donna, doesn't treat people well.
I could see myself being a diva.
Yeah, so can I.
All right, you could have defended me. You could have thought about it.
No, I know you too well.
You could have been like, oh, I don't know. I guess
The thing
maybe.
is, to be
but
honest
no,
with
straight
you,
in.
you probably already are, just without the fame and the success that
Yeah,
goes with
without
it.
anyone to actually,
Yeah.
skivvy to actually
It
do
was
my
like-
bidding.
On the trip up to Lindsay's, me and Ash are in the car, we're having a bit of a sing-song, as you do. And I said to him, I always thought I could be the lead singer of a band. Like, I feel like I could have the stage presence, I could put a show on. And Ash was like, I couldn't agree more. I think you absolutely could, but you can't sing. He's like,
I love that.
he's like, I had,
Oh,
he's like,
mate.
he was like, you could capture an audience, no doubt. I completely believe
That's
it.
brilliant.
But it would be without singing talent. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, if your friends are genuinely like building you up, I don't know if you're even friends.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's even a thing.
I wouldn't know what that is.
It would feel so weird and alien.
Like, if Ash turned to me and just went, "I'm proud of you, Big," I'd be like,
If he
"Fuck
turned
off."
around and was like, you know what, mate, you have an excellent voice and you can do anything you want to and
Yeah.
you should pursue your dreams, it would just be weird.
Yeah.
It would.
Because the things I said to him, like, the things you don't have to be able to sing. I was like, my favourite band's the Foo Fighters, and Dave Grohl notoriously isn't actually that good a singer. So I could do it.
Yeah, but
I
do
mean,
it. I don't know what's stopping you.
You also need musical. You haven't asked me to be the lead singer of your band,
I
John.
don't have a band.
You did.
You haven't asked me to start a band.
You were in a band.
Yeah, for like, a very, very limited time.
Yeah, but it happened. and I
That guy's
wasn't.
still got some of my shit, by the way.
Has he?
Yeah.
What's he got?
Well, like, he's got a mic stand
Bastard.
and he's got a music stand. Because I don't have a good like memory. Like, basically, when you go, right, we should learn this song,
Yeah.
I will not do it.
I can believe that.
I will turn up and be like, oh fuck yeah, I was meant to learn that song, so I have to like look it up.
Yeah.
So I had like a music stand that I had. It was like a really cheap music stand, but I could place my phone on it and have the chords or the tab or whatever on it, so that I could just play along. Because I was like, yeah, I will
I
not
can
remember
absolutely
to do
believe that about you, that you would rather pay for something that saved you having to learn and
It
do
wasn't.
something.
I'd just forget. I'd always forget. I'd be like, oh fuck yeah, I was meant to learn that song. I was like, fuck, I never did it. And then yeah,
You should write stuff down. You should have just a notepad.
do you know
that's
what,
like your
though?
to-do list.
I've had this conversation with someone like yesterday.
Yeah.
It's like, that is a great thing
Yeah.
if you remember to check the notes.
No, but if you just make it like it's in the same pocket as your wallet or something like that, so every time you're like, there's my to-do list. Do you know what I mean?
And I've done that, and then I constantly just be like, oh yeah, there's all the things I haven't done that I had to do. Put that away, and I'll remember about that later.
No, but at what point do you actually do stuff? Do you know what I mean? Like,
It's honestly,
at some
it's a
stage it
nightmare.
has
Like,
to be done.
it's a nightmare. And when I started going
how
through,
do you manage to be management in a store? Do you know what I mean? Like, how
I
are you
have,
pulling that
have
off?
this like hyper focus thing where my manager will send me like a couple of days before before she does my 1-to-1.
Yeah.
She will send me a list of all the things that we want to talk about, and including the stuff from the last meeting,
Yeah.
including the things she's tasked me with.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, fuck. And I will spend like 25 minutes
Yeah.
doing all of those or as many of those things as I can. And if there's anything on that list that takes longer, I will either start it
Yeah.
so that I can at least say I've started it,
Yeah.
or I will, in that 25 minutes, think of an excuse of why I haven't done it.
Who's your boss? I'll let them know so they can listen to this episode.
Oh, you don't,
So they can manage you more effectively.
I assure everyone, honestly, it's a nightmare. And I know, so, but like, seriously, so I've said to you, I'm fairly certain that
You've
I have
got
ADHD. And so when I discovered it was Twitter that actually helped me discover it, because I saw some posts and was like, bro, that's way too relatable. That's like reading my life.
Yeah.
And then the more I look into it, it's like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting, actually, because now I kind of know, I'm aware of it. So when we were in Rhodes and we were watching the football, and I'd realised that I was flagging. I was really struggling because basically we'd done one game and we were like 25 minutes into the next one.
Yeah.
And normally, if I'm watching back-to-back games at home, I can do, but I do stuff at half time. I'll get up and I'll do something, whether it's going piss around on the guitar for 20 minutes, or I'll have a shave. In between the games, I'll go and do stuff. And here we hadn't done that.
Nothing?
I can't for very long.
No.
And this is the thing. So here I was
Is that because I'm just trying to, in my head, does your brain just sort of go from thing to thing?
Yes. Oh, God, yeah. Like big time.
Is it a bit like the magpie? Oh, that's shiny.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. But it's also like an itchiness, like a restlessness. So sometimes you don't recognise it, but I was able to recognise it. And I was like, God, I'm really feeling like
I think I know what
I'm struggling here. I'm struggling here. And then I was like, I realised what it was. Yeah. And I went, right. I said, I'm going for a walk. So in the middle, I just got up and I went for a walk. I went for like a 10-minute walk.
What did Alex say? Was he just like, yeah, right?
He was like, yeah, no, because Alex knows as well. Like Alex,
he's known you long
again.
enough.
Alex is like, sort of like my mum and my dad. When I said, oh, I think this is the thing, and it was just like, yeah, it probably is.
Yeah.
So when I said like, I need to go for a walk, and I went, and you know what? I felt so refreshed when I came back, and I was like, cool, and I'm good to go again for a bit. But it was really nice. It's the first time I've been able to recognise it. I honestly think you struggle
to come to Lindsay's, you know.
Why? Just sit around, do nothing.
Literally.
Yeah, I probably would.
Yeah, like honestly,
but like,
nothing.
I'd be like, let's get up and play games.
Watching films, TV, eating.
But it's so nice to be able to like recognise it and then take active steps. So it was a really little thing, but it felt like a really big thing to me when I was there, and it was like,
yeah, that feels a bit like almost CBT to a degree.
Well, yeah, like I've
a bit mindfulness.
I've recognised it, and I've taken active steps around it, and it was really nice.
Yeah.
It's a really nice moment.
Do you know what you're going to try and do necessarily to combat it going forward?
Yeah, I was thinking of going for a diagnosis and then looking at medications.
Yeah.
But
what are the medications
like? There's some like focus medications like Ritalin and stuff.
Yeah.
But apparently it really does.
Because that's the thing, you want to think of things like side effects or long term.
Yeah, but apparently it really is effective in just slowing you down.
Okay.
And making sure that you're not going in every different direction.
Because the thing is, you're really good in the sense of, I mean, I know this is random, didn't plan to talk about this, but like...
No, praise me.
I've always been really impressed of like, you'll just decide, oh, I'm going to do this. And then you'll go and do it. It might not last...
It hardly ever lasts.
But like, you learn to play the guitar, maybe not as much as you'd like, but far more than a normal person, I would have thought. Like, I wouldn't
if you consider normal people to not play guitar, then yeah.
Yeah, like me. There's no way I could pick up a guitar and play anything that you could play or anything.
I could get you there.
Yeah, but that's being taught to do it.
Yeah.
But like, you did that, you'll be like, oh yeah, I'm going to learn a language, or like, I need counselling. Like, whatever it is, you're like quite happy. Once you've made that decision, you just do it. Like losing weight, you were like, no, I'm going to go on a health kick.
It's
and
that thing,
and you kept to that.
If I don't do something when I think about it,
yeah,
I won't do it. I mean, like, I will literally, I swear to God, so I will scroll, say I'm like scrolling through Twitter, and I'll see something about like the football, I'll be like, oh yeah, there's football on, let me check the scores. And by the time I've shut the app,
you've forgotten. I'm like,
what app was I going to look? And so just the idea of having some medication that could kind of slow me down and not be like, because then I'll be like, oh, I'll open the app and then I'll be like, oh, but then, you know, while I'm looking at my home screen, suddenly I'm now thinking of something else, and then I'm thinking of something else, and I'm like, in the space of 10 seconds, I've gone through like 25 different stops in my head, and none of them are helpful.
That must be exhausting as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try and make a thing of it. Yeah.
No. I'm just. I like to try and understand what someone's going through when, like, do you know what I mean?
Good man.
Like, I also find it fascinating. Not in like a. Like, I don't know, not in like a judgmental. I just
many people find me fascinating. You're the first person who hasn't worked for the Metropolitan Police who finds me fascinating.
I remember I had a close friend once that had quite a severe level of dyslexia, but he was incredibly intelligent. And I wanted to, but he read like quite voraciously, like quite a lot. And I
wanted to know what that was like.
Yeah, so I was like, so what do you? Because I've heard like it looks different to a dyslexic person on the page to what I would see. So I was like, what do you see? And it turned out his dad was also dyslexic. So they were both sort of explaining to me, like, you see shapes, like it could be upside down, and I was like, so how do you
interpret that
time and you learn what that symbol means basically and things like that. Do you know what I mean? I just find it quite fascinating to know.
I mean, obviously, reading's one of those that actually is affected by like the ADHD, because sometimes I'll read a passage and my
But you
mind will
also
start
read
thinking,
a lot as
I
well.
do, but I'll read like a passage and like, my mind will just go in other places.
Yeah.
And then I'll get to the end of the page and I'll be like, I did not take any of that in. So I have to go back and reread it. Or sometimes it's quite funny. I was looking up just after I looked up and I was like, oh, I might have ADHD.
Yeah.
And I was looking up websites and stuff. And I opened an article and I read like the first paragraph and then I just skim read the rest. And I was like, I don't know how I thought that was going to go any differently.
No.
But
the thing is, again, I think you must I think you have a better retention level than you think you do, because your general knowledge is really good. Like whenever we did, I think I've mentioned it on the pod. Whenever we did like those Zoom quizzes,
still
and
pointless
stuff,
crap, though, isn't it?
No, but again, it's knowledge, isn't it? It's like some of it's handy,
knowledge,
some of it's not.
But
like I think you're better at retaining things than you think you are.
Yeah, possibly, but it's doing it in the short term. Really,
Yeah, I think it's probably definitely helps if it's
thing.
something you're actually interested in, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Interesting. Fair enough.
We've gone off.
No, I enjoyed that because, like I said, I find that fascinating.
I've got a couple of. I've got a few things. I've got loads. I mean, bro, I came with my research. Don't even try and tell me I didn't come with my research. Okay, so we've spoken about politics.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, politics is a world of just like the lowest of the low, the slimiest fucking cockroach motherfuckers on the planet. And speaking of which, Matt Hancock's now going to be covered in them. And he's going into I'm a Celebrity, and I just wanted to get your perspective on what you think about that as a sitting MP as well. Like,
what confused me at first?
He's not the first. Nadine Dorries.
He's obviously been temporarily suspended from the Conservative Party. They call it having the whip removed.
Have you seen the bloke who's the head of the Conservative Party in his constituency?
No.
He's there's a quote from him and it says, I can't wait to see me in kangaroo test court.
You can quote me on that.
You can quote me on that. Like in the quote, I love that.
Yeah. Because what confused me at first, I was like, I swear Nadine Dorries went in and everything was fine, and I actually looked it up. She was suspended as well when it happened. So there's a good chance Matt Hancock just gets happily, like he's getting 400 grand in his pocket.
Mental.
Do you know what I mean?
But the thing is, I saw someone say, Suze, Suze Kempner, whatever her name is. Yeah. She was like, what's the opposite of paranoid? Because that's what Matt Hancock is. Yeah. And the best thing that someone could come up with was, I don't know if you're aware of the Dunning-Kruger effect.
No.
So basically, the Dunning-Kruger effect is a psychological phenomenon. I think it's like 99, 2000. That's pointless shit that doesn't matter to this. The Dunning-Kruger effect is the ability, is basically people with low skill in any given, in a specific task in this, the Dunning, in their tests.
Yeah.
In specific tasks, people with low skills and low competency in that task tended to overestimate their own ability and effort, whereas the people with high competency tended to underestimate, if anything, their
because
contributions. But the people with low, and it was like, that's kind of, he's like, I'm cool. People are going to see that. People are going to see the fun. Like, bro, there is no fun side of you. You killed like thousands of people. Like, there is no fucking fun side to you, man. I can't remember who
I was listening to, but they were like,
although that woman he had an affair with is hot. Like, credit where it's due.
He must see him. Who's hot?
The woman he had an affair with, that Gina Delgado.
She's alright.
She was hot for him.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, he was punching. He was punching big time.
Absolutely. I did genuinely feel for his wife when that all went on.
It's horrible.
And his children.
I also feel for his wife for the fact that she's with him. I mean, have you seen that interview with the woman where he's just standing like unbearably close to her, just sort of staring at her? It's like he's never interacted with a human.
Think, to be honest with you, we can't really be annoyed with it because we're happy with them doing second jobs anyway. So like,
I'm not though. I'm not.
No, but we do seem to just accept that. Like, and the thing is, like Boris currently, he's flogging a Bitcoin convention.
Yes, I saw that with Dick Cheney.
Yeah,
as the other big keynote speaker.
That says a lot.
Well, let me ask you this as well, because Matt Hancock's going into the jungle while he's sitting as an MP. Boris was on holiday for most of the time since he's left office. Since he left Prime Minister. Yeah. He's still an MP, and yet he's been in the Caribbean for most of it. How do you think Matt Hancock will do? I
mean, what I think will most likely
happen. How do you want him to do?
I want them to keep him in there for as long as humanly possible and him keep getting put up for the task. My worry is that not enough people will care enough to vote.
And he'll be out first time.
Yeah. But Nadine Dorries was the first out when she went in. So I think most likely, I think she goes out fair. But I think I was talking to Leanne and she said she reckons he'll be one of the later entries, not...
Oh, no, he is. He's not one of the initial 10. No, he's not He's one of the other two that come in. I saw one of the comedians say that...
I mean, to be honest, I won't be watching it. I will see the clips.
No, but this is a comedian said that this is the best year to do I'm a Celebrity because you will not do a single challenge. Matt Hancock will do every single one of them, and you are absolutely guaranteed to make it through.
I don't know whether he's been confirmed. I heard Sean Walsh was going in as well.
Sean Walsh is going in.
Yeah.
He's very disliked in the public. I don't know why, but
It
he
was
has a real
because of
reputation.
the Strictly
Oh, because
Dancing on Ice or whatever it was.
did he have an affair?
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone
he
has
did.
affairs on that show.
And I tell you what, actually, YouTube it. It's called Kiss. He did a stand-up special about it.
Oh, okay.
And like he had a complete breakdown, bless him, at one point, because he literally went from his career was just like getting higher and higher and higher. That happened, and everything went.
With regards to Matt Hancock, what happened when he gets voted out? Do you think he then just gets given another place in the camp? Do you think they just appoint him another place? Like, is he in the typical Tory fashion, he just takes up another position?
No, I think they're paying him enough that they'll quite happily let him fuck off afterwards. I mean, it's very clever from the producers at ITV. It is ITV that does I'm a Celeb, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Personally, in terms of what I think of him actually doing it, it's ridiculous. He shouldn't be doing it. Nadine Dorey shouldn't have done it. My only hope is that he spends as long in there suffering as possible. But the thing is, I think he actually sees himself as this sort of... I think
Dark
he
horse.
thinks he's one of the guys a little bit.
Absolutely.
Like,
like
I reckon
said,
he's that guy that
he's
shows up at the boots. Like, all right,
he has such a false idea of himself.
Yeah, like the fact, like, I've watched the video. I've obviously seen the video of him like grabbing arse. Do you know what I mean? And it was like I've never seen someone grab arse more awkwardly. If
he was in EastEnders with me,
yeah,
he'd want to be friends with my character,
mate,
and my
can you
character would be
imagine,
constantly bullying him.
Hypothetical here.
Sure.
Matt Hancock ain't great to look at. He hasn't got much going for him. But look, like as you said, he was punching because of political power.
Big time.
What would we be putting in?
Oh my God, could you imagine?
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I'd be like, I reckon I might have like a footballer's wife or something.
I think you'd end up having to have casts on your arms because I think you'd damage them trying to bat away the amount of women that would be after
It's
you.
the manner in which I tend to grab my pussy.
Do you know what? I think that's the way politicians like to do it nowadays. It's getting more and more common. But yeah, I mean, look, he shouldn't be allowed to do it. Boris shouldn't be allowed to go on holiday for 5 weeks and then go and flog a Bitcoin convention. They shouldn't be allowed to earn $100,000 a year doing another job when they're supposed to be serving the general public. But we don't seem to have an issue with that. So until we do, there's not a lot we can do.
Yeah, we need to kick up more of a think about that.
Those are the sort of things that I would like if like Labour did as much as they could.
To limit second jobs.
That, and just to clean up politics a bit in general, limit the ways in which you can get funding, limit all these like second jobs, consultancies, all that shit.
Oh, some of the consultancy fees and firms are jokes.
Because the money you can earn from just being from doing speeches is obscene. But yeah,
that's my course of career, by the way. EastEnders, after dinner speeches.
No, then politics. And then
the steps in the middle.
You'll probably become prime minister at some point. Just start saying the right things.
My whole thing would be like, you know, I don't know who might be leader of the opposition at that point. Who's a young Tory, up and coming Tory? I don't know, like Tom Tugendhat. He's not that young, but let's say Tom Tugendhat. I'd be like, Tom Tugendhat is a slag, and that'd be my whole running thing.
That's something the Cockneys could believe in.
I'd get the Farage thing. Who'd be like, I can have a drink with him. I could have a drink with him.
So hello.
What they don't realise is behind the scenes, like I'm, super rich, super posh.
Yeah, I think
I'm not one of the commoners.
A spoof version, or you should do it because you could just do it on your own. Of the Rishi Sunak video of him talking about what friends he has.
Mate, that's so good.
Yeah, you should do a version.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah,
because for me, it's like I have friends from all backgrounds, not Tories.
Did
obviously.
Hearing that surprise you?
It surprised me. He said it.
Well, no, I could imagine behind closed doors. That's what all of them said. Like,
yeah, but that wasn't behind closed doors.
Nothing.
That's the issue.
Nothing about that shocked me. Like everyone was going, "Oh my God, can you believe he said this?" Yeah, I can. Do you think he's friends with Dave, the construction worker? No.
I think he thinks he's like Matt Hancock. I think he thinks he's friends.
I don't think he does. I don't think someone whose collective worth with his wife, who has double the wealth of the king, is.
I'm surprised he said it on the in an interview.
I never thought we'd be at that stage where we had a prime minister that was twice as rich as the monarchy.
I mean, yeah, why not?
I mean, and this is a guy that's apparently gonna get us through a cost of living crisis.
He's in touch with us.
The worst recession since records began.
Certainly the worst recession since the last one brought on by the Tories.
And it's. I'll tell you what, I tip my hat to the Conservatives. At every point, I think it can't get worse. Somehow it does, and I think what the slight thing I was afraid of when Rishi Sunak came in is he is a bit more of a smooth operator than Liz Truss was. He's not at the same level as Boris in that regard. I mean, and Boris wasn't particularly a smooth operator. He just had the gift of the gab. But and they have had a slight,
as do I. Where's my 5-week Caribbean holiday, for fuck's sake?
They've had a little bit of a bump. I think like a 6-point bump, but they're still in at the moment essentially
Dire
wipe
situations,
out territory.
Dire straits.
I just want it to stay that way, or maybe not stay. Like I wouldn't mind if they got a little bit more support, but like just for
you want it to be wiped
purposes.
out. You want it to be wiped out.
I think. Well, I said before, part of me doesn't because I don't think that serves our current. That's not democracy. If we lose one of the opposition parties, we go from having a 2-party system to having a 1-party system.
No, but they'll rebuild.
Well, maybe. I think you'd end up with a few other parties, and eventually you'd have the new Conservatives or something like that.
They can be at it.
But yeah, probably under the leadership of Mr. Boris Johnson, I could see that.
Oh God, yeah, so could I. What else did you want to talk about this week, bro? What else is on your list? On your extensive research that you did into stories? Things
we've done the
happened.
Hancock. What do you think of the Just Stop Oil people?
So they're a bit torn on it, really.
It's really difficult, and someone I listened to summed it up quite well. They were like, the problem is no one disagrees with their
but the way they're going about it.
But when you make an enemy of the general population, it's just not going to work, because if the people aren't supporting you, you've got no support.
The best one was the Dutch Just Stop Oil thing. Did you see that?
Was that when they was it mashed potatoes?
No, cycling around. So basically they went to an airport that was predominantly private private planes.
Yeah.
And they just a shit ton of them went and cycled round the runway, like stopping, taking off and shit. And it was watching the police on foot try and chase down people on bikes. It's like weirdly entertaining.
What you need is that.
Honestly, it would have fit so perfectly. And I was like, now that's how to get it. First of all, you're only targeting the rich.
Yeah.
Secondly, it's funny.
Yeah.
It's good old-fashioned physical comedy.
Yeah. But when you're gluing yourself to the road and shit like that, like we've got to say, people literally just drag them out of the way, get back in their car, and
which is horrible. Like no one wants to see.
No, and the thing is, most of those people, if you asked them, would agree with
the sentiment.
Yeah, but like I said, when you're making an enemy of the people,
yeah, like I said, I'm a bit torn on it myself. What do you make of it? Oh, that I presume that's your take on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't give a shit that they're like, don't do anything to like the Houses of Parliament or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? Don't do permanent damage to shit.
Oh, fuck it, blow it up. We've had a go once. We celebrated.
It didn't go well for the last guy that tried to do that.
You say that. How many other people get like knights, their own knights?
So you'd happily sacrifice your life just to go down in...
No, I didn't say mine.
infamy.
I didn't say I'd do it.
They blow it up.
They blow it up.
Okay.
They blow it up, yeah.
I don't want them to blow up Parliament, Jake. It's the same as like it's just a nice place. Do you know what I mean? I like it.
No, but they might get lucky. Some of them might still be in.
Yeah. No, we don't want to. We don't want to advocate killing people.
I don't think some of the top level Tories are people. I think that's where we've got to draw the distinction. Is Suella Braverman a person? Really? Thing she says?
I mean,
you're trying to wind up if there's a soundbite that you could.
I don't know.
I'm joking.
I know.
Obviously, I'm joking. I had to clarify it. Got the police after me again.
But yeah, I mean, I liked it when they were walking down an old road, spraying buildings with orange
Tufton Street. It was Tufton Street.
Yeah,
it was 55 Tufton Street. It was the home of the think tanks like IEA, the Institute for Economic Affairs and stuff. Yeah,
like, and as long as they're not damaging, I get what they're doing. Like, for me, it's the stunt that's having the impact. So as long as they're not damaging shit. Like that's
like when they threw that stuff over the I can't remember which painting it was.
Yeah,
like
but it had the
glass.
Yeah,
so it's like they would have known that.
Yeah, so as long as it sticks to that sort of stuff and they're not harming anyone, and I think cut out the climbing Dartford crossing and shit like that, because you're just risking other people's lives and that's not fair.
Someone died.
Did they?
Trying to save something. I don't. Let's not talk about that because I'm quoting a story that I'm only half remembering.
Okay,
so
but if that did happen, then yeah. But yeah, stop doing that sort of shit. But like, keep it up in general, I would say. But just don't make an enemy of the people.
I'll go for that. You want to talk about the news that I think we've been skirting around? Really, the big news that we all don't want to talk about. The fact that the world is changing and things that we once loved might not be the same anymore. I am, of course, talking about celebrations. and the fact that they are,
I wondered where you were going with that.
and the fact that they are offering tubs this year without bounties, with the idea of next year offering that being the norm, no bounties in a tub of celebration.
Do you want to know what I say to that?
Sure.
Jake? 1 second.
I'll pad. Well, 39%, according to a study, 39% of the British population don't like the bounties. Do you think they should be removed from
Absolutely, bounties are shit.
I'm not a fan of them. I'll eat them if they're the last ones left, but I'll eat anything if it's the last one left.
No, they never get.
To see some of the people I've gone home with at the end of a night out, just because they're the last ones left.
Lucky ladies.
They're the bounties of the dance night.
Such lucky ladies.
I think so.
You would though.
I think so. They got a discount taxi ride home.
Yeah. What do you think?
What do I think? I don't think they should take 39% suggest that 60%.
Yeah, but they can just go and buy a
or don't mind
bounty.
it. Well, but equally, I'm like, it doesn't take up that much space in the tub, and I'm not that bothered about it.
But I disagree. You're probably in a normal tub. You're getting anywhere between 5 to 8 of them. That's 5 to 8. I could have of something else.
This is the only subject we've ever researched in depth by pure accident. We just happen to know tubs of celebrations
who
really
hasn't
well.
Had a tub of celebrations in their life?
No,
Do you know what I mean?
but there's a difference between having a tub of celebrations and knowing roughly how many of each of the chocolates you're going to get in them.
Yeah, true. But yeah, no, fuck them. I don't like bounties.
You're happy to bin them off?
Yes.
I just don't think they take up that much room. I'm not that bothered about it.
I just think it's a good publicity stunt. It's good. Gets the conversation going.
Gets the conversation going about bounties.
Well, no,
or
it
about chocolate
gets
tubs.
people thinking about celebrations in the run up to Christmas, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it does. Oh no, that's fine. We've settled it. We've settled it.
What else you got?
What else have I got? Well, I've got two things. I've got one meteor one and one sort of lighter one. So should I do the lighter one?
Honestly, when you said meteor, I thought you were saying meteor.
Meteor doesn't involve it's meteoric.
Okay.
But it doesn't involve any actual meteors.
Okay.
I'll say the lighter one. So I don't know if you saw this, but at the start of the month, Wigan versus Cardiff.
What, football?
Football.
No.
They played despite one of the goals being 2 inches bigger than the other.
Didn't this happen and they had to shave down the
No,
goal
this
post?
is the thing. So in a game a week later, Hull Birmingham, before the game, they shaved down the goalpost, except they did it like on the pitch where everyone could see it.
Yeah,
in the Cardiff game, Cardiff won 3-1, and the third goal went in off the underside of the taller goal.
So it wouldn't have gone in if
it wouldn't have gone in if the goal was 2 inches shorter.
Shit.
But it looked like it was the third in a 3-1 win.
Yeah.
But obviously, if that doesn't go in 2-1, we can have a chance to go out the other end and nick one. But yeah, just thought it was
Why is this
it
suddenly
happened
an issue
I'd never
in the
known of it
Championship?
in my life. I've never seen it
heard of
happen,
it.
and then suddenly it happens like twice in a week.
Yeah, that's very odd.
It was odd. It was odd.
Maybe there's some sort of conspiracy going on in football to just fuck with people.
Yeah. And I mean, like, as I will tell, speaking of all the women I bring home at the end of the night, as I will tell them, 2 inches makes a lot of difference.
Yeah,
okay, 2 inches is huge.
You're missing
And
those
2 inches, I'm missing at least those 2 inches.
At least.
And 2 inches is
and that's
huge.
just in girth.
It makes a big difference.
Yeah.
It's the difference between wanting to have a second date with me and never seeing me again.
I wish I had more to give you, but I need all that I have.
You need the extra 2 inches. No, you need those 2 inches as well.
Yeah. But I think that the extra 2 inches might be a bit too much. Do you know what I mean?
It's what I tell people, but I think as much as anything, I'm trying to convince myself, as much as them, that I don't think.
I mean, I've been told if anything, I need a reduction. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you've never listened to me. Now, how many times have I said that to you?
Because I just don't think you're brave enough.
How many times have I said that to you?
I don't think you're brave enough.
It won't fit. Every time I tell you, it's not going to fit.
You just never tried hard enough.
I don't want to. It scares me.
Scares everyone, bro.
That's my lighter one. The meteor one, I just wanted to get your thoughts on Musk's takeover of Twitter.
I don't really know what I think, to be honest. As long as, because to be honest, what I use Twitter for, I use it to keep up to date with things. I use it for football. I use it to sort of see what celebrities I like are up to. Follow different like political commentators and things
But that's the thing. That's going to be really difficult to do. under Musk.
Yeah, because of the
selling the blue ticket.
I heard them
thing.
explaining what he's doing with that. I think that will fundamentally kill Twitter, because I don't know how many people will be willing to. Because to go from you only got a blue tick if you reached a certain size and became verified, to then turn that into the only way to access the majority of Twitter and anyone you're interested in, you have to pay $8.
And what it does is, all the people who want to spread misinformation are going to spend money to get themselves verified.
Yeah.
And you're going to read through it, and all these bullshit sources are going to be giving you.
I think he must
like
think
credible information.
It seems like quite a
First of all, did
weird
you see
solution to the problem.
Did you see how he arrived at the figure of $8?
Yeah, he originally said 20, and then I can't remember who it was.
Stephen King.
That was it. Said like, had a go at him about it, and he was like, "How about 8? You know, we've got."
Yeah,
to
the
keep
idea that
lights
first
on
of all, this is
somehow."
one of the brightest business minds in our generation, but also the second idea that it's like he thinks Stephen King's issue is with the price rather than the sentiment in general. But do you know why he? So he's using it to make up the revenue, make up the. Do you know why there's a shortfall in revenue in Twitter?
Because he's bought it.
Sort of, essentially.
Yeah.
So just to explain to people, so most social media sites sell anywhere between a fifth and a third of their advertisement ahead of time. So they sell it for the coming year. So
so they've all pulled out.
So what happens is Twitter are expected to get between 20 and 25% of their revenue for 2023 at a recent event that took place in October, where they pitch and negotiate with they pitch to advertisers and say, come and advertise with us, and then they negotiate the prices and stuff. And the advertisers knew that Musk was imminently taken over. Like, they'd gone to court, and it was like, bro, you've committed to this, you've got to take over. And they decided that, and one top level advertiser actually explained to Musk, and he's a verified source. He's verified, and he said, as you were part of I was on the call where this was explained to you, that a lot of the advertisers saw it as Twitter, you're taking over, as making the company unstable and questionable about its future, and therefore decided not to invest in the revenue. And Musk responded to that by blocking him. Musk did a tweet that said, after he bought it, he said, like, good news, comedy's back. It's allowed again. Someone responded by changing their profile picture to him when he's balding with the name Elon Musk and said, like, I'm so fucking depressed since my wife left me. And he, I swear to God, suspended the account within an hour.
Really?
So it's like, oh, right, yeah, comedy's back. No, nailed it. No, brilliant. You're definitely allowed to say it. Hopefully it could work. Look, in 2005, Rupert Murdoch paid $580 million for MySpace, which he sold 4 years later for $35 million. In 2013, Yahoo paid $1.1 billion for Tumblr. After their various involvements of it, they sold it 6 years later for $3 million. That's a hell of a come down.
Yeah.
And Musk buying this.
Can I be honest with you, though?
Yeah.
I don't think he'll care.
Possibly.
Honest, I don't think, if I'm being honest, I've listened, he's been on Joe Rogan a couple of times. So I've probably seen about 6-ish hours of him being interviewed, which is a fair bit. I'm not going to claim I know the bloke, because I don't. But the impression I get of him, his decisions aren't based off at any level, from what I can tell, that the fundamental reason is about making money.
No, but also then the whole thing of, him buying Twitter $44 billion, he promised to end. He promised to end world hunger for $6 billion. He said, I can end world hunger and it will cost me $6 billion, and I'll do it. Yeah. So did he do it? No, he bought Twitter for $44 billion.
If I remember what he said there, that was in like, he was arguing with someone who was talking about world hunger, and then he was like, I would do it if they would do X, Y. I can't remember what the X, Y, and Z was, but he was like, if I got a breakdown of what it was getting used for and it's not going where it shouldn't, then I would do it.
Yeah, that's not. No. Anyway,
but there's also a difference between not making business decisions to make money and being philanthropic.
No, but let's be honest. Like, if you take away the trust issue on TikTok, the blue thing, or TikTok on Twitter, and also the whole thing of, like I said to you, the use of the N-word jumped 500% on the first day he took over. Yeah, accounts that were suspended for right wing. Have been radicalization, and they were radicalizing people. Yeah, have been unsuspended and handed back to the users, and it's quite interesting. So Yeah.
I'm more interested to see where it goes. I think like the guy's never ran a social media company. I think he's probably going to make a lot of mistakes.
But the thing is, the whole thing of him making Twitter unstable and that is like he sort of justified because he came in and immediately fired most of the staff around the world, including all of the disability team, by the way. So Twitter has a 3,500 strong disability team across the world. Which
do you need 3,500 people for disability?
It's all the different various languages and stuff. But it's not just this. So that's basically making sure that Twitter is accessible for people who have mostly visual impairments and hearing impairments and stuff, and making sure that
does that
Twitter
mean
is
they're
usable
stop catering
for them.
For those people?
They've got no one to cater for them at the moment. They've got no one to make sure that the app.
But I mean, it's not like the app falls apart because these people don't have their job.
It's not. It doesn't look good.
No, but
also
I can also conceive of the idea that a social media company has a bloated amount of stuff.
Well, also we've spoken about trans people, and one of the things specifically he wanted to change was the code of conduct regarding treatment of gender non-conforming people, and he wanted to make it basically so that you weren't being punished for like picking on trans people essentially and gender non-conforming people, and then you read it, and then you read into it, and you realise, okay, now it makes sense. So he has a trans daughter, who has completely disowned him and wants nothing to do with him.
Yeah, I think most of his children have, to be fair.
And his wife, when she left him, she started dating a trans woman.
Okay.
And so it's kind of like, I think you might be carrying a little bit of your own personal bitterness into your business venture. And business and personal, apart from when I opened that massage parlour that you told me not to, admittedly, business and personal shouldn't mix. All right, I dipped my toes too much in that massage parlour. I washed my feet, I washed my hands where I ate.
Yeah.
I did.
The problem is, I think it's easy to read into it that because he wants Twitter to be more open and... But
he doesn't want it to be more open, though, because... Yeah, it's that thing of... It's that whole... right. There's this movement of right-wing... Not a movement. There's this group of right-wing people that bang on about free speech. And what they don't really give a shit about your free speech.
Just theirs.
They just care that they're getting their free speech. And so... And, this whole idea that you and I have both said it before and laughed about it, this whole thing, they throw this term snowflake around. And yet, generally, someone who uses the term snowflake seriously is probably a snowflake. Like, I would say there's an 85% chance that someone who seriously uses the term snowflake is a snowflake. Or all those things that they would, apply to them.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, though, I think by allowing everyone to be on Twitter, maybe that's the way to word it, or I don't know quite the way to word it, but I think it's easier with the stance he's taking to assume nefarious purposes.
Yeah, but look.
Whereas I think it is just coming... I mean...
he didn't want to do it. Like, he didn't want to buy the company.
No, I think he did it probably more as a publicity stunt.
And he tried to back out.
And yeah, he did.
The court forced him to buy it.
Because it's damaging to a business to do shit like that, so he got forced to take it over. And I think, so what that will probably mean going forward is he's probably aware it's not going to be one of his most successful businesses. I mean, I've heard a lot of celebrities are coming off of it. We might end up with another... because I heard the guy that was running Twitter is now forming another, which I'd be surprised if he's allowed to do that, because normally when you sell a company you're not allowed to trade in it for a while.
What I sort of love as well about Musk being this kind of like pro-right wing...
Is he right-wing?
I think so.
Okay. I don't know enough about his political leanings to know.
But he's very anti-left-wing, he's very anti-woke.
Yeah.
And what I like about that is
so am I, to a degree.
No, but what I like about that is that the people he would describe as woke and being anti-woke, generally they're the people that buy Teslas.
Yeah.
Like, those are your fucking... That's your market, bro.
They still buy them.
Maybe, but
Do you know what I mean?
It's a risky move. Targeting your own market.
The thing is...
So you're not that bothered about Musk taking over Twitter anyway?
Not personally. I mean, if I have to start paying to use it the way I do now, then I just won't use it.
I'm worried about misinformation. I am worried about misinformation. And there's already an ease of misinformation. I don't want to make
there
it...
is. I guess for me, I don't really see it as a problem.
But I don't want us to... that's the thing, I go the other way. I don't want us to make it easier. It's already easy enough. Let's not make it easy. Let's not hand it to people.
Again, I just think the solution is that the other systems we have in place should be pushing the actual information.
Also,
you know what I mean?
He wanted to name and shame all the companies that pulled their ad funding, by the way.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Why can't he?
so that he wanted to name and shame them, so that as many of his followers could boycott them.
Yeah.
And it was like, what the fuck kind of business is that? There's okay, so they might not be renewed for 2023. What should you do? Stabilize the company, show that you can be and then get them back for 2024.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. Pretty straightforward. What you shouldn't do is go and be like, fuck these guys. You should go cost them as much money as possible. It's like, great, so no one's left to come and pay the ad revenues because no one wants to be associated with you.
I think it would depend on how many people stay using it. If there's enough people on the platform, advertisers will come back.
Yeah, but I mean, still.
Yeah.
I'm not, like I said, I'm worried about misinformation. I am.
No,
and the rise of the right again on Twitter.
I personally think you're more in danger of the right rising further again than...
Not the rise of... Let me rephrase this. Not the rise of the right. The right is just, if I'm on the left and someone's on the right, that's just a difference of political ideology. I'm talking the far right.
Yeah.
The fascism, the Nazism.
I think, to be honest, in general, we've allowed the general public to get away... Because we talk about, even in this conversation to a degree, talking about misinformation, and people have a responsibility to not be idiots and to not read the first thing they see and instantly believe it, and to not start believing in shit like what Suella Braverman's going on about and race baiting and all this sort of shit. We allow people in these conversations we have sometimes to lose that responsibility. Do you not?
No, I know what you mean, but then for me, part of my thing of making sure that I don't just read the first thing and believe it is I take everything with a pinch of salt anyway.
Yeah.
But there are a number of journalists, and like in football as well, it's the same thing. There are a handful of accounts that I know are genuinely good sources.
Yeah.
They genuinely report well-reported facts, and therefore, if I see them, and if I know it's them, i.e. they have the tick,
to believe them
then I'm happier to accept it. Again, I always accept it with a pinch of salt, but I'm happier to accept it. Whereas if I can't verify that that's them and they're sharing this information, I don't know, suddenly it's a little bit more difficult for me to take it.
No, I agree with that.
It's a hazier world. I don't know where I'm getting my information from.
I've got to a stage at the moment where I'm really fed up with... It feels like sometimes there's this sort of narrative of... Like, we've sleepwalked into the situation we find ourselves in now as a country. And, like, no one's immune from making mistakes. I voted for Brexit. I massively regret it. But that came from... And I hold myself responsible for that, and I have since, by staying informed. Do you know what I mean?
And I think my biggest mistake was probably the way I intermediated between you and Alex that one time.
Yeah. Definitely. No, to be honest, it wasn't really your fault. I was just...
No, it was. I hold my hands up. That was me. I misinterpreted. I misinformed.
The initial issue, yeah.
I misinformed, and I stirred some shit that wasn't there to be stirred.
Yeah. But it's all right.
And then in a casual manner, I stood back and went, oh yeah, my bad. Never mind, not my problem. Sort it out.
But yeah, we're in a really shit situation as a country at the moment. In all areas, there's not an area that we're not struggling.
I would say podcasts are doing pretty well.
Yeah, maybe other than podcasts.
Podcasts are probably pretty strong. I mean, do I have a vested interest? Am I biased? Maybe.
And I hope it's a medium that never goes away, because I think it's quite a valuable one to a degree. But we're in such a shit situation. And yes, like, we need to hold the Conservatives accountable. A lot of the issues we're currently struggling have been born through them.
And Labour and Power need to be held accountable as well.
Absolutely.
Just because I know people always accuse us of being like anti-Tory, but I just want... I hold those in power accountable.
I think
that's the point.
We've definitely been better recently in being honest about our disappointments in Sir Keir Starmer and the things he's getting wrong.
Can I just say, Frankie Boyle actually did a great joke against Keir Starmer. I don't know why, but it really made me chuckle.
What's that?
Because he was talking about him being really lame and tame and boring, and he was like, he's the kind of man that if he ran full speed at a pigeon, the pigeon wouldn't move.
That is quite good. But yeah, I just feel like we're all pointing fingers at the moment, going, the government's shit, and these systems are shit, and nothing's working. But I don't feel like at any point anyone looks around and goes, well, actually, we're just as culpable as this, And
no one ever wants to take responsibility. No one ever wants to find out they're responsible.
In the last PMQs, Rishi Sunak had nothing to say, so he started bringing up Corbyn and throwing that at Sir Keir Starmer, that Sir Keir Starmer had backed him previously, and if we'd have had Corbyn, we'd have had X, Y, and Z go wrong. All the things he listed are things.
Can I
that
just
have
before you go?
currently
Can I
gone
just say first of all though, can I just say, bro, for a man who's backed like 4 different people who have all turned out to be you've
Rishi
then turned
Sunak
around
can't
and
say
kicked him in
shit.
the backside, you cannot say anything.
No, but that was what he was driven to because there was not a lot else he could say. But all of the things he listed were things the Conservatives have got wrong and things that are already going wrong. But there's no, we voted, or the country in an unbelievable number, it was one of the biggest wins we'd had in decades, voted for Boris Johnson and the Conservatives. None of it was hidden. None of it was apart from Liz Truss and what she did, we didn't, no one necessarily foresaw her making such a fuck up and sort of ramping the financial issues up to 11.
The fact that lettuce outlasted Liz Truss. Someone then set up a lettuce that was like, let's see if it outlasts Twitter under Musk.
That'd be interesting. But we still because the things we were being offered under Corbyn was said as they were extreme, going too far. It was all communism and all that sort of shit, and it's all stuff now that everyone's crying out for. And no one, I feel like, looks at themselves or looks around at them and really holds themselves accountable for the situation we're all in, because you don't get to this situation by just the government being shit. It's by all of us.
No, I know what you mean. You can't go.
Blind.
You can't go. Well, do you know what would be really good right now is cheap and more affordable transport that's properly funded and free broadband.
Yeah,
and that would be really handy.
It'd be really good if they nationalised.
And then someone going,
the
do you know what? Do you know what? You were actually offered that.
Yeah,
and you said no.
Yeah,
and people don't want to go.
Extreme.
It's the same. It's the same as Brexit in general.
It was Comrade Corbyn,
Brexit's
wasn't
such
it?
There's been no good point. It's been objectively bad in every way you look at it,
and it's consistently got worse.
But people don't want to look at it and go, "I got that wrong."
Yeah,
people do not want to be faced with
and
that.
I don't know whether that is what it is, that because I find it hard to believe that the entire country en masse is unable to say I made a mistake. That can't be true of everyone. But I just don't. I feel like we just get stuck in this cycle of going, all right, well, if we get a Labour government in, we're fine. But if we had a Labour government in now under the current circumstances, of which I said that isn't democracy, we'd end up with a one-party system. The Conservatives would be more or less dead as we know them.
Win. Victory.
And they're then in a position that they could do all sorts of things that a lot of people might not
listen,
like.
It's an ongoing battle. We have to constantly fight to make sure the people that are in power
are being held accountable,
and are working in the best interests of the people.
And we don't do that. I don't for me, the fact I don't see on a regular basis people slagging off our local MP. So I don't if he could tell me what he's done to benefit this area since becoming an MP, I would love to know what it is.
I'll say
other
this
than
way,
fucking going after the low emission zone bullshit, whatever it's called. It's got a weird name.
He's helped out, there's no backup of sewage, and we don't have a coastline in this constituency.
I hate to tell you this, Jake, we have had sewage dumping and coming through our rivers in our area.
Who would have foreseen that rivers came from the sea? Who would have known that rivers came from the sea? That's ridiculous, right? Where are the scientists to tell us all that? It's just stupid.
But yeah, but no one is angry at Elliot Colburn, and he is someone we should be angry at. He's our local MP, and he's failed this area. But we're not doing that, and then we're not also holding ourselves accountable. And I think that's
we should bring back Oliver Queen. From Arrow, when he just goes around telling people you have failed this city.
Fuck is Oliver Queen?
Just go around telling people you failed the city and then shooting them with an arrow. I think we should bring back that.
Going after murder, bro.
No, bro. You think I'm good enough with a bow and arrow to kill someone?
I don't know.
Maim
I don't know what
best.
you
maim at best.
For all I know, Jake, you could have for the last couple of years been going, but shooting bows and arrows at a range.
I was a scout. I mean, I wasn't terrible.
Mate, I was in Cubs.
Okay.
I didn't get to scouts. I got kicked out for swearing.
It's a good troublemaker.
Just a bad influence.
Absolutely. How innocent was I before we started this podcast?
Not very.
Well, bro, come on.
You weren't very innocent at all.
I was quite innocent.
No.
Look me in the eye and tell me I wasn't innocent.
You weren't innocent.
No, look me in the other eye.
That one? You weren't innocent.
We're going to have to have discussions after the podcast.
But Jake, is there anything else you'd like to cover?
No, is there anything else you want to cover?
No, I've got a couple of other questions, but I think we're going to do another pod in the next few days, so I think I might save them for that pod.
Not just a hat rack, my friend. Don't waste all the good ones in one episode.
No. And I've really enjoyed this conversation. We've talked about stuff I wasn't expecting to.
I always find they run a bit longer when we go a couple of weeks without doing one, because we have so much to discuss and catching up on.
And let's face it, we're in a political time where shit just keeps going on.
And we always do this thing as well where we don't talk to each other between podcasts, because I think we both have this thing where whenever we have a thing, we might say, ask each other about it, but then we don't go into it because we're like, save it for the podcast. So we'll do it on the podcast.
Well, it was like when I asked you about why is everyone pissed off at Elon Musk, you sent me quite a long thing, and I was like, I'm not going to respond to that because we're gonna
go on to
talk to it on the pod, I imagine. But I actually didn't have that down as one of my subjects. So
I thought you might. I mean, I thought you might.
No, I just didn't. I don't know why. But yeah. But no, guys, let us know what you'd like us to talk about. Get in touch, talk to us, ask if you want to come on, you know.
Absolutely.
Just like, subscribe, do all the good stuff.
Tell us how much 2 inches means to you.
Yeah. Does it go from doable to unthinkable, or are we, you know, still in the game?
Yeah, use the hashtag
2 inches deep.
Hashtag 2 inches, hashtag too much, and hashtag just right. That's what we want to know.
What part of the Goldilocks are you? Do you know what I mean? What porridge? What bowl of porridge is it?
It's
lukewarm.
I guarantee
do you need more?
I guarantee you, there is like an X-rated Goldilocks book.
Yeah.
I guarantee. I've not seen it.
There's probably a movie,
and I definitely don't own the trilogy.
There's got to be a Goldilocks porn, hasn't there?
I mean, I definitely don't have it downloaded on my hard drive, but I guarantee that there is one.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet, to be fair. But Jake, tell them where they can get in touch with us.
They can get in touch with us spiritually if you just kind of tune in to the general aura.
Every night, I would say around 7 o'clock, I just sit down and close my eyes and
close my eyes.
Draw back the curtains. I knew it was something to do with curtains.
I knew for certain. Oh, any dream will do. And that's the only line I know from that musical. So there you go.
Oh, it's Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat.
I have this really amazing ability, and I don't want to brag about it, but I think I know.
But you're going to.
I know one line from one song from just about every musical, and no more.
Yeah.
It's quite an impressive skill.
What about Phantom of the Opera?
Phantom of the Opera is here.
What's the next bit?
Don't know. That's
it.
Not
the end of the line.
That's one line.
That's not the end of the line. That's not the end of the line.
Yes, it is. Of course
no,
it is.
it's not.
Of course it is.
No, it's not.
Of course it is. Have I covered the name of the show in it? Tick.
That's not the first line.
That's not the end of the line. I didn't say it's the first line.
Not the end of the line.
Well, what's the next line then? You've seen it.
Inside my mind.
Oh, I didn't know that actually, to be fair. Yeah, no, to be fair.
Fucking questioning me, man.
I didn't question you. I just challenged you.
Stepping up.
I didn't step up.
Step up to the king. Couldn't get smacked.
Okay, where's the king?
Big Daddy Big's right here, bro.
Big Daddy Big? I forgot about Big Daddy Big. Do you know what, bro?
Yeah.
Would Big Daddy Big consider being a recurring character in my EastEnders saga? Like in my storyline, in my arc?
What does he do?
I don't know. Maybe you know. Like,
can he be like an Andrew Tate figure?
I'll tell you what it is. Yeah, I'm like a lucky. I'm like a foot soldier for Big Daddy Big.
Yeah.
You know, I'll go around like doing Big Daddy Big's business, like, you know.
Strapped up.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
When we say strapped up, though, you mean wearing like physically wearing a strap, like a harness.
Strapped up's like carrying, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we had different upbringings.
Yeah. You grew up at the top of the hill. Me at the bottom.
I grew up in the gay clubs.
The strapped up means something different there.
So does Big Daddy Big.
Yeah, if I went into a gay club and said Big Daddy Big, there'd be some excited man.
Oh my goodness, they'd be all over you. And I'd be, you know, I could hype you up and be like, move out of the way, you slags. Big Daddy Big's here.
If anyone wants to book with Big Daddy Big for an event, an acting session, do you know what I mean?
Or the unnamed EastEnders character that I will play.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know where to find us, you slag.
Yeah, tell them where to find us, Jake.
Oh, God, I'm going to laugh. I'll get better.
On Twitter, @Swords Crossing.
CrossingSwords_podcast.
On Instagram, you can.
On Instagram, on the gram. Do you know who likes the gram? We all love a fucking gram. Do you know what I mean?
I'm on the shite, mate.
I do a different kind of gram.
On Facebook, it's just Crossing Swords, mate.
Fucking. Do you know that fitty sort Tara Reid? Like, not Tara Reid, Tara Strong.
Tara Strong.
She knows us.
Yeah.
She's right, all right, mate. Right, all right.
She's proper.
She's
all right.
well in. She knows it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can email us.
Yeah.
Crossing Swords fucking 19 at gmail.com.
Yeah, but do you know what I mean? If you ain't that hardcore, you don't have to put in the fucking, do you know what I mean? We ain't all putting in the grind, do you know what I mean?
No, if you need to put fucking in.
Well, you fucking put it in then, you slag. You put it in.
And then the link for the YouTube page, it's in the fucking link in the description, innit?
Yeah, and do you know how fucking big the description is? About 2 fucking inches, mate.
Whoa.
Fucking hard school.
How
Just enough.
How much description is too much description?
About 2 inches worth.
Oh, shit.
Makes the fucking difference.
Well, see you later, you filthy slags.
See you later, you slags.